Hello, Wanderers. With Crusader Kings 3's Wards and Wardens DLC, there's a lot of new content centered around the children of the game, including becoming a ward or a hostage, some new court positions, lots of new events, and even having a regency or becoming a regent yourself. So, here is a full list of some of the youngest rulers you can play as during any of CK3's start dates. Count Bouchard is tied for the spot of the youngest character you can play as in any CK3 start date at a measly 1 years old, and can actually provide a pretty interesting playthrough for anyone looking to experience the new DLC features. Starting off with just a single county, your options to expand right away are pretty limited, assuming you can even get past your 15 plus years of regency without any unfortunate accidents. Despite being a regency, though, there are a few things you can do to ensure your safety early on. Before unpausing, you can attempt to imprison your one vassal in Chateau. This will fail, but as he flees your childish wrath, you'll be able to take his castle for your own. This gives you a bit of extra troops and some extra power early on, and there aren't really any negatives because the negative vassal opinion modifier doesn't apply to you since you have no more vassals. After that, I would probably seek out a marriage with your distant cousin Beatrix of Auxerre. Her father may be another lowly count, but he actually has 3 counties, so he has a pretty decent amount of troops, and he's probably one of the strongest alliances you can get early on. Beyond that, he also holds an unpressed claim to the French throne, so if you're clever, you might be able to press this claim on his behalf once you become an adult, and then potentially have those claims pass on to your own children. By this point of the game, you probably should be pretty well protected, so you just need to avoid any of your neighbors getting a little too ambitious before you come of age. Tied with Count Bouchard for the youngest spot is Rostislav Rurikid. Unlike his French counterpart, Rossislav starts off as a vassal and heir to his father, the powerful Prince Mstislav of Novgorod. Your father, in turn, is actually the second son of the King of Ruthenia, and he's the heir to some of those lands as well. So, should everything go well, you stand to inherit a pretty big Russian realm right off the bat, and you can easily make your place as the most prominent of the Rurikids. Hold off on finding a betrothal early on. There aren't really any good prospects, and you aren't in any danger, so an alliance isn't really going to protect you from much. Main thing is making sure to keep these scales of power in your favor just to avoid any prolonged regencies. And if you make it through your youth intact, you should probably be in a pretty strong position to become a powerful king and potentially even emperor of Russia within even a few decades. At just 4 years old, Duke Minlade faces a far more precarious position than our previous 2 rulers. With the King of Pagan's de jure claims on your land, you're pretty likely to face a big invasion early on. It is possible to gain an alliance by betrothing your character to somebody much older and potentially retaining your independence, but honestly, I would just recommend swearing fealty to Pagan and using that safety to develop your character till they're old enough to exert their own influence. When choosing this option, make sure to select the low feudal obligations just to ensure you're not offering up any more than you need to. It's also pretty likely that one of the king's sons will have a daughter within a few years of the game start, so you can probably secure a betrothal there, and that gives you a potential avenue towards claiming that title for your future heirs. Also, if you're able to amass a 900 prestige before your liege acts, you could potentially declare a subjugation war against your neighbor in the south in Hinthada. So, this would give you a pretty strong power base to work with from the future. As the youngest female ruler on this list, the young Princess Yevpraxia of Ruthenia has a lot going against her. Only one of her two counties is of her culture and religion, and her three older brothers are all significantly more powerful than her and set to inherit far greater lands, which, as a girl, she will unfortunately be excluded from. You do start off as a vassal of your brother, who happens to be the father of Count Rostislav from earlier, which will at least afford you some protection from outside forces. Honestly, your best path for power revolves around marrying within the dynasty. This will allow you to arrange for some non matrilineal marriages and thus offer some better marriage opportunities for your character. It is possible to arrange a betrothal with your nephew, Count Rostislav, who, as we mentioned, is set to inherit pretty vast lands, but you risk your heirs inheriting the horrible inbred trait, which might not be worth it. A better option might be to marry one of your distant Rurikid cousins with claims or land, of which there is usually one or two willing. Once you've secured your future through marriage, you will inherit claims upon your father's death, so a skilled player should probably be able to usurp their brothers and become the strongest of the Rurikid rulers. Sheikh Ali II of Marrakesh is one of two Idrisid rulers tied for the youngest spot at the 867 start date at 6 years old. Though his cousin Prince Al-Kazim is also a county tier ruler and the heir to the Idrisid Sultanate, Sheikh Ali might actually be the more interesting of the two, as you hold an unpressed claim on the Sultanate yourself through your father, and pretty powerful lands from which to push that claim, though you do begin over your domain limit by one. The difficulty here lies in securing a strong alliance to help you back those claims. There are pretty few prospects at the start of the game, so you'll probably have to wait a few years while the current rulers populate the world with their spawn. Once you've secured a strong alliance, push your claim, conquer the Maghreb, and push forward against the Umayyads in Spain to complete your domination over the region. Though a bit older than some of the other characters on this list at the age of 14, Chieftain Ulir is the strongest Norse ruler we can play as at the 867 start date. Starting out as a landlocked ruler, you'll probably want to secure an alliance early on and push towards the sea. Luckily, it is possible to arrange a betrothal with the daughter of Halfdan Whiteshirt, who also happens to have the excellent quick trait. Though be aware that Halfdan starts in an offensive war with Northumbria. He'll probably easily be able to win that since he's part of the Great Heathen Army, and they just went and curb stomped everyone. As soon as you have some troops and strength, conquer your neighbor to the north to get some coastline, and from there you should probably be able to play a typical Norse game, lead a Viking conquest, go anywhere you want. I would probably recommend somewhere in the Isles because you've secured that alliance with Halfdan, and you can use that alliance to conquer Britain for Odin. Though there are many characters younger than Sultan Malik Shah of Khorasan, at 11 years old, this is our youngest possible kingdom tier title holder that we can play as in the 1066 start date. Your position in the game is pretty enviable. Your father is already one of the most powerful rulers in the world. As his third son, you look to inherit claims on the Seljuk Empire in addition to some lands. You already have plenty of land to start with, including a mine in one of your holdings of your capital county. You also start off betrothed to the granddaughter of the Khan of Transoxiana, but you might not be able to secure an alliance right off the bat unless you get lucky with some traits. Sometimes you can offer yourself as a ward to the Khan to gain the opinion you need, But honestly, it's not even really necessary. You don't need an alliance right away. Probably the easiest and simplest path to power would be to assassinate your two older brothers before your father dies. And that would give you the Seljuk Empire right away. You'd be super strong, wouldn't have to worry about much. But if you want, you can also push your claim by the sword if you don't get that opportunity early on. Regardless, you do have a lot of avenues to power in this region when starting as this character. In any case, enjoy your own games. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more CK3 videos. Until the next time, Wanderers, see you then.